pure experiences.
Hello everyone, welcome to our Pure Experiences meetup group, and we are back after the monsoon break with a new series of online meetings. Is my voice clear to everyone?
Yeah, it's here. And
Okay.
thanks for doing such kind of events. They are very noticeable, and they are really good actually.
You're
I want to thank you guys for organizing these kind of events.
You're most welcome, and we'll start with today's topic. There are two topics actually. First is back to basics, where we are going to repeat the talk that was given on the very first meeting of this group. And the second topic is surrender. So I think most of us are regular members except Shivam. So what we'll do, we'll repeat the basics anyway, because it is always good to repeat everything. We always learn something new whenever we repeat something. And just like in the first meetup that we had, we are going to do a small exercise, a small experiment, and we'll find out what exists, what is, and that will be our most basic experience, and that will become our most fundamental foundation. So we are going to explore the question, what is, what exists. And even though this seems like a totally unimportant question, because obviously we know what exists, this is the common belief among people, but a seeker goes ahead and asks questions, even the most obvious things there are. So before we go into all the details and entangle ourselves into terminologies and concepts and theories, it is always good to start from the basic, from the solid ground about which we are most confident, and that is how we build up our knowledge step by step. If you stand on a very solid ground, you are very sure that your next step is going to be proper, and you're not going to be walking on air. That means without any fundamentals, without any support of your knowledge. So as usual, I'm going to give you the basic experience first, and later on in other coming meetups, I'm going to formally introduce the path of knowledge. So right now it would be too early to introduce all those concepts, so I'm going to just give you the basics first. It has worked in the past, so hopefully it will work. And the question is, what is? Now, how are we going to find out what is? We are going to use our mind as the tool, and you will notice in coming meetups and in coming meetings that mind is the only tool we have. We don't have any other thing to know actually. The other things that are we employ in order to know are extensions of the mind. They are instruments, and that enhance the mind. That's all there are. The only device we have in our hands to gain any kind of knowledge is our mind. So what we are going to do is we are going to use our mind only. There is nothing else there, and it sounds like we are very limited, but mind is very powerful. It is very capable. You can gain all kinds of knowledge using just your mind. Now that is kind of obvious, because if mind is the only thing that can be used to gain knowledge, then all the knowledge comes through the mind. So how we are going to do is we are going to employ the capabilities of the mind, and one of the capability of the mind is to perceive, to think, to make logical conclusions, and And then that is not one, actually many, we are going to use many abilities of the mind. So in the coming meetings, I'm going to go into a lot of detail about the abilities of the mind. So this basic experience is going to give you a glimpse of what the mind can do. And it will look like as if it is nothing, but this is the most basic thing we are going to learn. When I ask the question, what is, I'm asking you to describe your experience, isn't it? So let us do this small experiment and use your mind and find out what is. How are we going to do that? First, we employ our senses, because that has been our conditioning. Whenever we want to find out something, we simply look outside first. We are by nature extroverted, and the first thing we do is look outside. So take a look outside. Take a look through your senses: eyes, ears, touch, taste, smell, whatever you can do, and get a good look at what exists. And you don't need to be in any particular state, or you don't need to be meditating or anything. It needs to be only a normal open state. We are not doing anything extraordinary here, only very, very ordinary thing we are doing. So what do you guys see? What is the experience like outside? Any responses?
Don't see the normal things that I see every day. But my mind is saying that I'm seeing shapes and colors.
Okay, so if you're wondering what I'm trying to get at, we are seeing nothing but objects. And depending on the sense, the objects appear in various forms: colors, shapes, sounds, tones, textures, smells. And that is all our experiences about the outside. Have you ever seen anything that is not all these perceptions? Have you ever encountered anything outside that is not made up of any of these perceptions?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, the answer is a clear no, because senses are our only way to, the mind's only way to find out what is outside. Now let us go and imagine, pretend that nothing exists outside. You can close your eyes if you want, and you can just pretend there is nothing outside. Now describe your experience. What remains?
From the outside? What remains from the outside?
Outside is gone. Outside is gone
If I
now.
close my eyes.
Yeah.
So my sense of sight is taken away. But if I touch something, there's still that.
Yeah. So shift your focus from outside to the remaining thing. I'm not going to call it inside, because we'll land in trouble very quickly. So let's shift our focus from outside and take a look at what remains. So just pretend that nothing exists outside. It is just a pretension. We are trying to reduce the distractions in the mind, and you will very quickly find that if you ignore the sounds also, just pretend that there is no sound around, even my voice is not around. So what remains, you will find very clearly, are sensations, and we arrive at the body. The feelings of being in a body, that's what remains. So we encounter a second thing. First was a collection of objects, which we are going to call the world. And the second thing we encounter when we ignore the world is our body. Now let us go one step ahead and pretend that there is no body. Ignore the sensations from the body. the sensation of sitting, the sensation of breathing, the sensation of being alive. Ignore all these. Just don't go to sleep, and you can close your eyes and just pretend. It should not take more than a few seconds to ignore that and remain with what is, what remains. What is the remaining experience?
Thoughts,
Very good.
imaginations, ideas.
So we arrive at the mind itself. And what are these things? These are not physical things. These do not require senses. There are no sensations. They just appear. They appear nowhere. And we call them non-physical stuff. Thoughts, imaginations, desires, emotions, and all those things. So we arrive at the mind. That is the third thing. Now the next step is going to be a little bit tricky, difficult, because we are not used to doing it. At least the newcomers, new seekers, they are just starting. But those of you who are used to meditation and all, you will find it very, very easy to do that. Just pretend that there is no mind also. And silence it for a while. If the thoughts come, just watch them. If the emotions are there, just watch them. You have already gotten rid of the world, the body, and everything. So the only thing that remains is the mind. And just pretend that there is no mind. You don't have to actually do it because it's impossible. The mind won't go away. Just have a thought that it's not there. Now, what is the remaining thing?
I'll watch you.
Yes. There is a witness there. The witness is watching the going of the mind also. So we arrive at the fourth entity, the fourth one. Now you go back, bring in the mind, think something, recall something, recall what happened today, and bring in your body, bring back the body, check the sensations in the body, touches and sounds, and then if your eyes are closed, be aware of outside. This is the natural state for most of us. It should not take more than a few seconds to come back. So this is the basic experience, and you must be thinking now, what is so special in that? What is so spiritual in that? The thing is, this will form the foundation of all your knowledge. I mean, you will need to believe me for now, because the coming meetings are going to show you why this is the foundation. Why this very, very simple and basic experience, everyday experience, is going to be a basis for all our knowledge. And by all, I mean all, because ask yourself, have you ever encountered anything else except these four things that we just encountered? First is the world, whatever is outside. Second is the body. Third is the mind, and fourth is the witness, also called consciousness or self. So these are, in our common language, these are the only four things that exist. Have you ever encountered anything apart from these four?
Never.
I mean, this is the meeting, so we are short of time, but in your meditation time, or whenever you introspect, think about this. Is there anything else except these four categories? And you will probably come up with some tricky things, like the mind will say, oh, there is space, there is electricity, there is light. But if you go into depth of it, you will find that these are all perceptions. Things that you perceive or even do not perceive. Some are simply ideas. For example, electricity and light, they are just ideas, and we never perceive them. And then when you'll think that, oh, there is something inside the body. A body is made up of cells. This is all conditioning. We never see them. So I'm not saying that these things do not exist, but you will never encounter them directly. You will always need some kind of help, and you will always be able to categorize them back into one of these four kinds. That is the point here. The individual details you will be able to ignore, and you will be able to put them into one of these categories. We have a basic answer to our question, what exists. So you will be very confidently be able to answer this question, that these four things exist: the world, the body, the mind, and the consciousness. And whenever you find something else that exists, you will be able to put them into in one of these four categories. If you make a new discovery, you will find that fits into one of these four somewhere, and that is our total experience. The whole of the experience consists of these four kinds. We have divided it. I mean, the tendency of the mind is to divide everything. When I told you to see outside, you must be seeing walls and ceiling fan and chairs and tables and beds and screens and lights. So mind is going to tell you all these things exist, but this is the tendency of the mind to divide everything. What we are going to do is combine them back and see what happens. So combine everything that was outside, that you know from senses, into one, and we can give it a name. It is called perception, the field of perceptions. That is all there is outside. There is a field of perceptions, and we also call it physical, the physical experience, because it looks solid, it looks real. So it is neatly arranged in space, and follows time and everything, and you can combine them into one. You can call them the perceptions. And second, the mind, you can combine all of these activities that are going on, the actions that are going on in the mind, into one. We call them as mentation. Some people simply call them as thought. Imagination is a thought, thinking is a thought, thinking in language is thought, emotion, everything, they club it into one thing. But thought is something different, and meditation is all the activities of the mind combined into one. So we have these two. You can combine the meditations and perceptions into one, and we have a name for it. It is called experience. Why? Because if you use the common words, the mind is also seen, and the world is also seen. The body is also seen. The body fits very nicely into the physical world, at least the one that we see in the mirror. There is one more body which we just feel, and that fits nicely into the mind. And that's why you must be wondering, why did I took off the body and included into one of the basic experience. Because some part of the body lies in the world, and half of it lies in the mind. And it is very interesting, actually. Body is a very interesting thing. If you check it out in your free time, you'll find that there are two parts to it. Half of it will always be in the mind. Half of it, the hunger, the pain, and everything, that even the touch and smell, taste, they are felt in the body. They are not felt outside. Only the sight and sounds, they are located outside. Sound is in between also. Some of it is felt inside, those who pay attention. The sight is we are habitually we put it outside. Things, whatever we see, we put them instinctively outside. And the body is in between. So half of it we can club into the experience of the world, and half of it into experience of the mind, and combine all these 3, 4, whatever is, into one, and it becomes the experience. What we see is we are left with one thing only, which is just the experience. I'm not going to go into the division of experience and experiencer right now. We'll combine everything into one, and we are going to give it a name. I'm calling it, I usually call it as presence. So if you combine everything that is your experience, you can call it presence. In common language, we can say something exists. This is a very big statement actually. This is very profound knowledge that something exists. Now, an ordinary person is going to laugh, because isn't it obvious that there is something? The thing is, the seeker goes into depth of it. We just don't, say there is something and move on. We question it. We try to find whether it holds or not. So let us do that. Try to deny that there is nothing. The something is not there. The experience is not there. We can deny that one of these four kinds is not there actually, which we have already done, in past meetings. But we are starting again. So, but can we deny that there is absolutely nothing? Can we say like this, that there is absolutely nothing?
There's always something there.
As soon as you say that there is nothing, then the question comes that who is so sure of it? What is it that is saying it? And you'll find that you are left with something again. Even if you don't want to name it, a common person is going to say, I'm saying it, so I'm there. But you are never sure that you are there. But you are always sure that something is there. We are just pretending that, our conditioning is absent. We don't know anything. And we are just opening our eyes for the first time and opening our mind for knowledge for the first time. And this is what we encounter. We encounter that there is something, and then we try to deny it. We say, there's nothing, probably. But there it is. As soon as you say, it comes into picture. You can wonder about its nature. Some people say, it is just a dream. All experience is just a dream. But dream also is, isn't it? The form may be some different. Can be a different experience compared to some other experience, but the dream is. And you can go on and on like this, finding alternatives to, is there anything else apart from these? And you will always come back to this answer, no, there is something. It is impossible for nothing to be. How can it nothing to be? Because if nothing is, there is something. Nothing is there. It is an impossibility that there will be nothingness. And this forms the foundation of our knowledge, because as soon as there is something to know. If there were nothing, no question of knowledge will arise, nothing will be, can be said about it. There won't be anybody to say anything at all. So we start from here. It is the beginning of the beginning actually. It is so basic that we never pay attention to it. So what is, I'm calling it as presence without dividing it into anything at all. We did divide, and then we combine it back, and we find that we cannot get rid of it. It is not possible to say that there is nothing. And the Sanskrit word for it is Brahman. So you just encountered the existence as it is, without conditioning. Don't think what it is, but it is, isn't it? Don't worry about what it is. What kind of things are in it? What are these four kinds? Why are the four kinds? Why there is no fifth kind? You don't worry about it. For now, the most fundamental experience is there is presence. And this will be our foundation. We are going to build up our knowledge on this from Brahman. We'll start from here. Now, if we don't know, even if we are not clear about this, we are not going to learn anything. So just make sure that there are no doubts in your mind about what is. Are there any doubts? You think, there is something that is not. Is it even possible? So this was a brief introduction to what is. I'm going to call it presence always, and you will find that there is nothing else to know except this. There is very little to know anything about it. All we can say that it is. We can know its various forms. The mind can, know its various forms. The mind cannot go behind the presence and find out what it is. It is just there. There is something. There is an experience. That's all. The mind can go and divide it up. The mind can, do surgery on it. The mind can analyze it. The mind can describe it in different languages, different terms. It cannot go behind that and find out what it is, where it is, why it is. These are beyond mind, but not beyond experience. You can experience it very clearly. Our ordinary experience is enough to see what Brahman is or what presence is. If there is an extraordinary experience, let us say you are a spiritual seeker and you are after extraordinary experiences, you will find that you will be able to put your extraordinary experience, the most mind-blowing experience, into one of these 4 categories: world, body, mind, and consciousness. So, from the point of view of the seeker, the ordinary and extraordinary experiences don't really matter. The difference is next to nothing, because all experiences, all kinds, whether they are usual, everyday, or unusual, rare, they all fit into just presence. So my effort is to transmit as much as knowledge as possible using the everyday experience, and I don't recommend putting the seeker directly into an extraordinary state and then telling the seeker that that now you have learned something new. No, we will find that we will learn a lot simply by studying the ordinary experience, the everyday experience, and we'll find at the end that this experience that we call ordinary everyday is the most extraordinary. It looks ordinary because the mind has become habitual of it. But if you become like a child, this is the most extraordinary happening there is. Can you imagine there is something and we don't know why it is, from where it came, why it exists, why is there existence, and there is no chance that we'll know it ever. This is where the knowledge ends, but we'll start from here. And before jumping to the advanced topics, our regular topic in the series, if there are any questions or comments or doubts, please let me know.
Pure experiences.
You are listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan. For more, please visit pureexperiences.blogspot.in.